Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's almost 10 o'clock on November 29th, 2022, and a lot of clouds today. We just have high clouds, but also low clouds around too. So this is what the sky kind of looked like today. This was at Argyle Lake in Babylon. You could see just the clouds and the stratocumulus, and then you had also the cirrus up above. And yeah, it's another look at it. A little blue sky, but not too much. So plenty of clouds around today, and it was a lot cooler than yesterday as well. And going to the satellite, yeah, we already looked at that. Going to the weather and hazards map, you'll see a lot going on here on the weather and hazards map. And the first thing of note is all this winter weather that you're going to be getting, winter storm warnings in the mountains, because they got the trough out west, and therefore they're getting the storminess in the mountains that's creating the snow. There's a low off the coast there. But to note here is we have severe weather going on in the south. We have tornado watches, and we actually have some tornado warnings, I believe, that are active right now. We have 3 tornado warnings that are active right now. Very unusual to see tornadoes at this time of the year. You would think you wouldn't have to worry about tornadoes at this time of the year, but of course, this is the new normal when it comes to the climate, so this is what we have. And if we look at the radar here, you'll see all the severe thunderstorms that are just breaking out all over the place here. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of Alabama, into, it looks like, Nashville. So, yeah, this is Tennessee. So, yeah, this is a mess over here. Knoxville, this whole area here is going to get hit. And it's going to be bad because there's a lot of lightning with these storms, too. If we look at the lightning detector, look at all this lightning happening right now. This is pretty crazy. We're talking about this in November. Look at this, 651 strikes a minute in this area alone. It's just going nuts. There's Nashville. So Nashville looks like it's getting ready to get hit right now with the severe thunderstorm. It's just nuts to have severe weather at this time of the year. It really is absolutely nuts to see this. And it's all because of the warm air. If we put the observations on here and we look at the air mass that's over here, you'll see you got temperatures in the 70s, and it's very humid. Look at these dew points up into the 60s. Oh, dew points into the 70s in Louisiana. So really unusual to see this. And this is what we're going to get a little taste of tomorrow. A little taste of it. But getting to our weather, you'll see that we already have a wind advisory in place for tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Looking at our observations, which we should have way more of showing up on the map, you'll see it's definitely cooling off tonight. We've got the radiational cooling going on. We got temperatures around 30 in New Jersey, 31 in the Pine Barrens. There 29 actually at Lakehurst. So yeah. The air's dry. Even though we got some high clouds around and some scattered stratocumulus, but it's not enough to really put the lid on the radiational cooling. 27 at West Hampton right now, and 36 at Islip. Showing you the day at Islip. You will see that we had a lot of clouds around throughout the day, and highs only in the mid to upper 40s, so close to normal for this time of the year. A lot different than it has been, but we'll be shooting right back up there again tomorrow. So let's go look at the lows and the highs for the day, starting off with the lows. And you'll see West Hampton got down to 24 this morning. Everybody else got to around 30, and it looks like New Jersey's Pine Barrens as well dropped into the mid-20s as well, as you see there. Highs, let's go to highs now. And highs generally in the mid-40s across the area, though closer to 50 in New Jersey, but generally mid-40s, so close to normal for this time of the year. We're going to be well above that come tomorrow. And the issue is that we have this warm front that's coming, and here's all that severe weather, and then this cold front. So this warm front comes through, passes through this morning, probably early tomorrow morning, and then we wait for this cold front to come through in the evening. And this warm sector is what's going to set the stage for the storminess in our area. And here's something you don't see very often, and this is, look at this, moderate risk for severe weather. Look at this, moderate risk for severe weather surrounded by enhanced. When do you ever see this in late November? That's almost unheard of. Whoops, where did it go? So where do you ever see this in November? This is pretty crazy stuff to see. Very unusual to see. And definitely a sign of what we're dealing with the climate. So let's go to the models now, and we will take a look and show you what we have that is going to be triggering this. All right, so we have this low pressure system here and this trough that's coming through. So this is pulling the warm air up ahead of this cold front. You can see all this rain breaking out ahead of it, and you can see that sharp cold front that's going to come through tomorrow. Then we have cold high pressure built in Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend we have another cold front that could wind up coming through, and perhaps even another similar type of situation on Saturday, perhaps with that front, and then a high pressure builds in again for Sunday. So you see the kind of pattern we're in here. Looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere, you will see here, and I'm not going to pull out to the North American view, but you'll see that trough digging there. There it is. It's not a terribly deep trough, but it's enough to pull up that warm air and set the stage for a strong cold front, then a little glancing blow of cold air, and then it moderates, and then we get into a ridge again, and then we start to see toward the weekend another little weak trough, but no really huge trough. So I'm not going to the long range with this. I just want to point out to you the mechanism in the atmosphere that's causing all this. And again, there's that trough coming through, and that ridging ahead of it. It's just kind of sharp. And then as we get to the weekend, you see that moderation, and then here comes the next one. So it's kind of like almost a repeat of what we're dealing with. That's the pattern. The lows go to the well to the north and the west, and we get into the warm sector and deal with the storminess. And just to show you the humidity here, which we'll show you the dew points here. And this is what's look at that surge of. I'm gonna call this like a warm surge for tomorrow. So you see that warm surge that's going to be coming up, and then the cold front comes through, and then look what happens again. We see it again on Saturday night. Same thing, another warm surge, and then another cold front for Sunday. So let's go and take a look. And that is again we're looking at the dew points here to show you the difference in the atmosphere, in the air masses. So let's go to the HRRR model now, 0Z HRRR model, and we'll actually start with the dew points this time, so you get an idea, visualize exactly what's going to happen here, what's going to set the mechanism for this. So you see those dew points come up probably around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're going to start feeling that mugginess in the air. You've got very strong south winds. Here we are in the afternoon, late afternoons, very strong south winds. That's why you have that wind advisory in effect. And you see that fine line right around 5, 6 o'clock. That's when that front's going to come on through. It could be some thunderstorms with that, and there could be a squall line with that. And then the winds shift to the west and northwest, and then that drier air comes in for Thursday, and we get much more typical weather for December, as we will be entering December on Thursday. Temperatures, and again, we'll point that out. We'll get to the radar simulations in a minute. You'll see those temperatures shoot up. Here we are into the 50s tomorrow, and near 60 probably right ahead of this cold front in the afternoon. And then after the cold front passes, we drop quickly into the 40s and 30s by, I would say, 9, 10 o'clock. We're in the 30s, so it's going to be a big temperature drop. And then we're going to drop probably by morning with the winds. No radiational cooling, but we're still going to have temperatures probably reaching into the mid-30s. And for Thursday, we're going to probably struggle to reach the low 40s. So it's going to be a lot colder on Thursday. So now let's look at the radar simulation. That's not what I want to use. Radar simulation. So this is the radar simulation, and you will see here that rain starts moving into the area around noon tomorrow. Light to moderate rain, and then it gets heavy as we get toward that afternoon hour. So 3, 4 o'clock, you're going to start getting to that really heavy rain. It's going to be very strong winds accompanied with it. Then this front comes through, this squall line comes through around, again, 5, 6 o'clock perhaps. Could be a squall line. You can see it's showing on the radar. We have several models indicating this line that's going to develop here, where it's going to be very brief, but you're going to have some really heavy rain, possibly thunder and lightning, and if it wasn't dark, maybe even a shelf cloud. And then that quickly gets on out of here. After 7 o'clock, the rain tapers off, and then we're just dealing with cold conditions and windy conditions on Thursday, but not like the kind of winds we're going to be having ahead of this front. All right. looking at the total amount of rainfall, which I don't want to go too much into, it's just going to be, again, probably that half-inch range, though, again, it could be a little more in some areas. Could be closer to 3/4 of an inch of rain. All right, so the wind is the other issue, and looking at this like kind of underestimates the wind a little bit, but you can see the kind of wind that's going to be generated ahead of that. We will use a different model, different site to show you the wind a little bit, but let me go back and look at a few more other radar simulations so you get an idea. And again, you have this V, this very sharp V right here. That is what we're going to have there. And let's go to the FV3. We should have that FV3 in because it also shows up on the FV3. Same thing. Rain starts in the afternoon. You got a really rainy afternoon to the rush hour, and then it ends with a bang with this front possibly coming through. This brings it a little more through around maybe closer to 5 o'clock. But you can see, again, really just heavy rain in that band there that we're going to get. And again, if we look at the lift FGen here, which is something we can look at here. Oh, we don't have enough of that in. Darn it. All right. I'd have to go to the lower resolution GFS to maybe get a little more of that in. But you can see the lift that's ahead of that front there. There's a lot of lift. And that's something I like to show you because there is a lot of lift with that. We can use maybe another model, maybe the NAM3. We have enough of the NAM3 in. All right, good. So you can see that lift that's ahead of that front right there. The NAM actually doesn't look terribly impressive here on the NAM, interestingly enough. But some of the other models, now I have a feeling that's going to look different at the surface because of that. Yeah, see, the NAM doesn't have that line there because the NAM doesn't have that lift area. Instead, the NAM just has a rainy, either way it's going to be rainy, but it has it doesn't have a defined line like that, like the other models do. We'll have to see. It doesn't form it until it gets further offshore. But you see the difference there, red to blue, as the levels go below freezing, after, just hours after this thing moves on through. So this could be pretty intense here. So it's annoying we don't have enough of that FV3 in to show you, but I'm leaning toward this line developing. I think we might see this line develop. But either way, it's going to be rainy. So there's that line, and let's now go look at the some of the other sites here. So let's go to the windy.com site, which we can use. This is the European model, so we can actually take a look and see what the European model says of the kind of winds, gusts we're going to be dealing with. And these are the kind of wind gusts we're going to be dealing with in the afternoon. You see gusts 45 miles, that's offshore, but you can see over wind gusts 39 miles an hour. It's going to be a very wind-driven rain. Here we are, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So it's going to be a very wind-driven rain, very strong winds. And again, if you go just above the surface here, in fact, I think we can map out the HRRR here. Good. So we can use this site for the HRRR, which is good. So you see here the kind of winds we're dealing with. And see, these are wind gusts here. So these are the wind gusts up to over 50 miles an hour. That afternoon time is going to be really rough. And then it cuts off rather quickly. By 5 o'clock, the worst of the wind is over if you're in Nassau County already. Once that line passes, you'll still have wind, but it won't be the kind of strong gust winds. It'll just be windy, but it won't be like the kind of damaging winds that you could see ahead of this. If we go to sustained winds here, which we'll go to sustained winds here on the HRRR, and we go above the surface because this is what's important here. So these are sustained winds here, all right? The strongest will be right along the south shore where you'll have sustained winds approaching 30 miles an hour. But the thing is this, and again, we go above the surface, and this is what it's all about here. Let me shift over to that 2 sky. Because I want to use this site. So if we go above the surface here, all right, go to tomorrow, we move this over here, and here we are again. This is 1 o'clock, wind speed. You can see these winds just cranking here, all right, 24 miles an hour. I couldn't put out, these storms that develop could have some very strong winds in them because, again, we've got to look at what's going on above the surface, all right? So this doesn't look so bad, but when we go above the surface and we go to, let's just go to 500 meters above the ground, all right? This is just 500 meters above the ground. Things change quite a bit. Just above our heads, literally, and if you're in a high building in New York City, you'd definitely feel it. you're going to have winds around 65 miles an hour. All right, that's 4 o'clock. This belt of winds coming at 1, 2 o'clock. This is pretty strong winds here that we're dealing with just above the surface. So you could have that wind come down, and like I said, a gust up to 70 miles an hour, and not out of the question if it gets brought down to the surface. So that's pretty incredible. That's only 500 meters, seeing those kind of winds just above the surface like that. It's over by 5, though. It's mostly over, except for the east end, according to this, and but the damage could already be done. So if we move this up to 850, this will really show you the kind of winds we're dealing with. When I talk about low-level jet, this is exactly what you're dealing with, a low-level jet of air, of a tropical blast of air that's right above us that could go down to the surface. So we're at 3 o'clock, and you can see at 1,500 meters, you're approaching 80 miles an hour. So this is very concerning to see winds like this, and that's why I think we could see a decent amount of power outages tomorrow. I would reckon anywhere between 10 and 20,000 people could lose power tomorrow on Long Island, with at least that's what it looks like. And of course, the state of PSCG Long Island's infrastructure, especially in the middle of the island, where those outages will be focused probably. But this really concerns me here. This really concerns me. We go to the thunderstorm risk, and obviously Cape doesn't look that bad. All right, Cape doesn't look that bad. It's not showing a whole lot of Cape. But with winds like that, I'm really concerned about things. So if we go and look at the lifted index doesn't look that bad either. But when we go to helicity, this is pretty high, as well as CIN, which is another, CIN doesn't look that bad. But the helicity does look pretty bad. This looks pretty high. So again, I'm concerned about, tomorrow's going to be a very, very stormy day. It's not just about the rain, it's going to be about the wind that's going to accompany the rain. That's going to make the storm a very, very stormy day. Almost going to be like a tropical storm, almost, for maybe like a 5-hour tropical storm, or maybe not 5-hour, maybe like a 3 to 4 hour tropical storm type conditions on Long Island, I think, is what you should expect tomorrow, especially when you throw these temperatures in here. It's going to be pretty warm. Again, you got temperatures 55. We do have the ocean that helps moderate it a little bit. All right, but the key is it's also going to be very humid. So if you look at the humidity, look at these dew points here, you'll see it's also. And what's interesting is, go back to the temperatures, and let's go raise these heights a little bit here. But it's not. It's a little cooler aloft. There's some instability actually. That's a bit of a concern right there. So there's some instability. I'm really concerned, especially because we already know that this system is producing severe weather in the south. So this is the kind of energy that we're dealing with in the atmosphere. So be very concerned about tomorrow. A tropical warm surge, but then it's over, and then we can clear it out. So we'll look at the skies for Thursday, and see, not going to have enough of this model, and I'll use the RGM here. And you'll see, obviously, tomorrow we're going to be cloudy. But after this front moves through, you'll notice the stars come out probably after 9 o'clock. And after that, we should have a mostly sunny. All right, this is just the 0Z run of the RGM, which we don't have enough in. But if we want to look more at Thursday, should be mostly sunny. Maybe a few passing stratocumulus clouds, maybe. But other than that, mostly sunny. As we get into Friday, we'll have to watch out for the possibility of some high clouds, but right now it doesn't look like that many, at least on the RGM. It does not look like it. FE3, well, we know we don't have enough of the 0Z run in. Again, this is like the AK, the high resolution GFS. This is what it shows for Thursday, possibly dealing with some of that instability, stratocumulus, maybe for some lake effect, possibly over our area. The models don't have an agreement on that, really. You can also look at the NAM for that as well, showing the same thing. Possibly something, but again, it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen because it will be lake effect behind that front, and we'll have to see what, if any, cloud remnants get to us behind that. Friday, NAM is really aggressive with bringing the cirrus in. Looking at the Ventus Sky, which is another sky model we could use. Looking at Thursday. You'll see the Ventus sky seems to have a lot of instability cloudiness around, especially over New Jersey. Not so much over Long Island, maybe a little less over Long Island. So, but right now we got to get tomorrow out of the way because I'm really concerned about that wind potential tomorrow again with these wind gusts. Looking at this again here, let's go to Wednesday here, and you will see the kind of wind gusts we're dealing with here, and it's going to last through. That's why they have it from 11 because it's going to start ramping up around noon, and then right around 2 or 3, that's when you're going to deal with the peak of these wind gusts, 60 miles an hour possible. It's going to be very, very stormy, very stormy. Look at these wind gusts. This is really remarkable. Over 50 miles an hour possible is what the HRRR is calling for at this point. So yeah, I'm very concerned about it. Tomorrow is going to be a stormy day. Again, it's not just about the rain. It's going to be about the wind that's going to accompany the rain. So it's going to be like a tropical storm tomorrow. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Tropical storm on the last day of November. This is a low-level jet. It's not an actual tropical storm, but it's going to be tropical storm-like as far as the conditions go. Warm, humid, downpours, wind-driven downpours, wind gusts into the 50s, possibly over 60 miles an hour. These are the kind of things that we're going to have to look at tomorrow. And hopefully maybe it will not be as bad as this. This is, again, is the HRRR. If we look at some of the other models, well, yeah, this one's pretty bad too. This is the GFS, also showing gusts over 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. So a lot of these models seem to be really hinting at wind conditions that are going to actually be worse than. It's ramped it up since the last time I looked at it. So gusts 60 to 70 miles an hour. Not out of the question. I think there is going to be a few of those on Long Island for sure. And like I said, I expect about 10 to 20,000 people to lose power, perhaps. And again, if we're on the high end of these, we could see up to maybe 20 to 30,000. The majority of them will be on the North Shore and in the middle of the island. And the ironic thing, the South Shore, even though we'll be seeing most of the wind, probably won't have as many outages for 2 reasons: less trees and better power infrastructure. Because those people, well, we all know they're important. Well, that's it for this weather update. We'll keep you posted if any new advisories come up. Just expect tomorrow to be a very stormy day. That's going to be it for this weather update. Thank you for watching.